Scars remind you that your past is real. You can't run away from it, but you can still be a very dangerous motherfucker.
Retired Navy SEAL David Goggins is described as one of the toughest men on the planet.
When I was 297 pounds trying to be a Navy SEAL, the scariest thing in the world to me, even to this day, was that could have been the rest of my life. Fuck that. I want to be someone that I'm proud of. Just by going to war with myself every day, I gain confidence. Like you go to work, you put your suit and tie on, I go into suffering every day. And that became my new norm. I gave myself no way out. If you can't control your own brain and your brain controls you, you're fucked. You gotta tell your brain where you wanna go and how you wanna go and how you wanna get there. Everybody thinks I'm Superman. I had to tell them the truth. My dad beat the hell out of me. I come from hell. Be born in that shit, man. You learn to survive, but surviving doesn't make you win. Surviving makes you a fucking cockroach. What is in us, we have no idea until we start trying hard. No one really finds himself without going through suffering. Go to a dark place in your mind and figure out what the fuck you want to be. Find your purpose, and then you'll find the courage to start that journey.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is...
Let me ask you a question. Are you pushing yourself hard? Are you getting out of your comfort zone? Are you putting pain into your life every single day? Or do you call your mommy when things get tough? You know, most people quit at 40%. That means you got 60% left in the tank. And that's what my guest is here to talk about this week. David Goggins, 3-time Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, holding the pull-up record, 4,000 pull-ups in 17 hours, a guy that ran over 203 miles. That's what I'm talking about. David Goggins is in the house. And I'm super excited to share this episode with him. And he talks all about getting out of your comfort zone, about how to be uncommon amongst uncommon men, about how to look at something called your accountability mirror every day, about how to go into the cookie jar when you need some inspiration. And that's just some of the knowledge that David Goggins drops today on the episode. I'll be honest, probably the most powerful guest that's ever sat in the London Real chair. This episode will change your life, just like his book, Can't Hurt Me, will also change it. Make sure you watch this to its completion and get out of that comfort zone and go and be great. This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is David Goggins, the athlete, speaker, soldier, and New York Times bestselling author, often referred to as the hardest motherfucker on planet Earth. You're the only member of the U.S. Armed Forces to have completed Navy SEAL training, U.S. Army Ranger School, and Air Force Tactical Air Controller training, and you've competed in more than 60 ultramarathons, triathlons, and ultra triathlons, running 101 miles in 19 hours, 203 miles in 48 hours, and breaking the world record for 4,030 pull-ups in just 17 hours. Your New York Times bestselling book and audiobook, Can't Hurt Me, shares your astonishing life story of childhood physical abuse, poverty, and prejudice, and shows a path that anyone can follow to push past pain, demolish fear, and reach their full potential. David, it's a big honor. Welcome to London Real.
Hey man, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Tell me, what do you think of London and this city? And are we hard enough here?
Well, I know one thing, man. The fucking traffic is hard enough. It is brutal. So just getting here, but I'm having a hard time trying to find a place to run. But I'm spending a lot of time on the elliptical trainer. I'm making it work. I don't mind London at all. I've been a lot of places in the world. London's good. London's good.
They actually have a history of being some pretty hard people. And I was here for the bombings in 7/7 and 07. And the one thing I noticed was the day after the bombings, everybody went back to work. And I was like, oh, this is old school. This is like, 1940 Battle of Britain, where it's getting bombed every day. People would just dust off, and the next day they just got back to it.
That's badass.
Yeah, so
that's badass.
It's kind of underlined. But yeah, the traffic will callous your mind.
Well, I like London more now after hearing that story.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll have to take you and show you some of this. You can see the shrapnel is still in there from the bombings down by the Thames River and stuff.
The bombings aren't badass, but the mentality of the people here, that's badass.
Yeah, no, it is for sure. We've been watching you for about 2.5 years, man, so it's just great to have you here. And we've really been wanting to talk to you. And what I found has been interesting with you is watching you kind of change, because you seem to kind of change into a different person the last 2.5 years, from when I first saw you on Rogan and Bill You and Rich Roll. And with the book, I know that you had to go really deep,
right,
and get really vulnerable. And I know that's something that maybe you hadn't done much of before. And you've said before that writing the book was the most difficult thing in your life.
Right.
And after that intro, most people would find that hard to believe.
Right.
That writing a book is harder than running 203 miles.
By far.
Or doing 4,000 pull-ups. But can you explain why?
You know what? For me, in that book, so most of my life, people didn't know it. So, my mom got abused physically, mentally by my dad. And so I kept everything from her pretty much. So my childhood growing up, she was gone working 3 jobs. We lived in a $7 a month place for a lot of the time. And she had a hard way to go. Her soon-to-be husband got murdered, all that crap's in the book. So whenever I wanted to tell her something, it seemed like bad shit was always happening, not just to her, but to me also. But at a young age, I felt like I was a man of the house. So I didn't want her to know anything about my life, like what I was going through. And I had a learned disability. I still have a learned disability. My dad beat the hell out of me. School wasn't great for me. I lived in a small town with a bunch of, there were a lot of rednecks there, a lot of people who didn't like black people. So everywhere I went, I was having all these kind of obstacles hit me in the face. So I just hit it. So I became a really closed person because I didn't want to stress her out anymore. So I became this person who walked around with like 2 sides of David Goggins. There's one side that was like, I'm a tough guy. That was the outside surface. But on the inside, I was a kid that was just hurting, that needed all kind of help, but no one knew it.
Right.
I never talked about it because why? That showed weakness. And my mom didn't need to hear it. At least that's what I thought. So for me to come out and be this vulnerable, because everybody thinks I'm Superman. So
I wonder why.
Yeah, everybody thinks I'm Superman. So I had to tell them the truth, and and the truth is very important. And for me, a lot of years of my life growing up, I lied a lot because didn't have a lot of friends, felt socially just all kind of awkward. I was hiding all kind of stuff. So you do whatever you can to create another human being that's acceptable, that you think is acceptable in society. And when I did that, all that came out was a bunch of shit, a bunch of lies, a bunch of filth, a bunch of nothing. So for me to come out and write a book about the real David Goggins, it was tough. It was tough, but that's the only way. If I want to help people out, the only way I can cut to the surface and say, look, guys, gals, whoever's reading this book, I am where I am now. You guys see this. And it would have been very easy to write a book about the hero, David Goggins, but the hero is not me. The hero is the person reading the book. But I had to tell them where I came from to give people hope that, wow, that's where he came from? He came from all these fucked up obstacles and now he's there? I want to give people that kind of hope. So that's why it was tough. Because to give people hope, I had to take myself to the sewer to show people, hey, I come from hell. I come from hell. And a lot of it I created, not just society. Yeah, society helped me out, but I created a lot of the hell that I had to go through. I made this picture out to be a lot worse than what it was. It was bad, but I made it out to be, insurmountable. So yeah, we can be our worst enemy.
Why is the truth so important?
You know what? Because first of all, it does set you free mentally, and it gives you a starting point. You have to have the truth to have a starting point. So when you, like, if I'm lying to you about who I am, or I'm lying to you about whatever, there's no starting point. There's a false reality.
Right.
You have to create the real reality. So that's what I call my accountability mirror in my book. That's the real reality. Where the fuck am I going to start from? So for me, I was lying to this, lying about that. So I had no starting point. Once you come face to face with who you are, you have a starting point. All right, I'm not real smart. I have no courage. I have no self-esteem. I have no nothing. Nothing. That's my starting point. Now we can move from there. But if I tell myself I'm strong, I have courage, I'm smart, and all these are lies, you continuously push that starting point backwards.
Right.
So that starting point is the truth. The no fucking bullshit truth that only you can tell yourself. So it's the starting point. The truth's the starting point.
And most people are surrounded by people that don't tell them the truth. Right?
No.
Because it's too painful.
It is. Especially nowadays in this society, we like to surround ourselves. It makes us feel so good. Those people who say, it's okay. It's okay. It's not okay. It isn't okay, man. And I get it. Society's changing. And we love to feel wanted and loved. Trust me. That's all important. It is. But you have to have the truth from people. Hey, you're not working your butt off hard enough. You're not trying hard enough. We all think we're trying hard, but what are you gauging that off of? Are you gauging off of, like I talked to this one kid the other day, college is kicking my ass. I said, what are you gauging that off of? I go, are you trying? He goes, yeah, I'm trying my ass off. I'm studying hard. I go, what are you gauging trying hard off of? Well, in high school, I didn't have to try at all, and I made great grades. In college, I'm trying hard. You're trying hard compared to what you did in high school, which was it came easy to you. So your reality is something that you created off of something easy. So you trying hard is 2 hours of studying. I'm gonna tell you a difference in trying hard and trying hard. Trying hard is something in your mind just doesn't stop. Where you know 2 hours isn't enough. So it's all about, reality and what you're basing things off of.
And most people quit at 40%.
Yes.
That's one of your most famous lines.
Yes.
I was hearing that years ago coming
Yes.
from you. And so when we're saying I'm trying hard, when you look in that accountability mirror, you need to look right in your eyes and say, who am I fucking bullshitting, right?
Right.
Because most likely you're at 40% or less.
Right. Much less.
Much less.
Because even though the 40% rule came up years later, when I was 297 pounds and I was fat as hell trying to be a Navy SEAL, the scariest thing in the world to me, even to this day, was that could have been the rest of my life. I thought then I was trying hard. That's the scariest thing in the world. I thought then, 297 pound, working for Ecolab, spraying for cockroaches, making $1,000 a month. I thought that was me at my 100% potential. Come to find out, a few years later, I wasn't anywhere near that. 106 pounds less, graduate Navy SEAL training, went on to do all these other things. Looking back on that was me trying hard. That's why people gotta understand, what is in us, we have no idea until we start trying hard. And I mean really trying hard, where you're obsessed with, hey, this is my new norm. My new norm is that, wow, this isn't always fun. It's not always meant to be fun. And that's when you know you're trying hard.
Is that, and so people listening to us that maybe are at 20% or 30%, how do they shatter that myth that they've been telling themselves, about, yeah, I'm going hard, I'm going max, and yet they're not seeing the results? Like, how do they actually shake themselves out of that? Because, There's a great quote, I think it's by this guy named Richard Feynman, who says, the first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you're the easiest person to fool. So we construct these crazy Disneyland realities in our brain, right? And then feed it back to ourselves. How do you shatter that?
Well, your first thing, you're fighting, we all have two people. We all have two people. And I'm not saying you're crazy. We have the easy voice, which is that 20% telling yourself that I'm easy at 90% of my full potential, maybe 100% at that 20%. That's that voice that we all love. That's that very comfortable voice, that's that mommy holding you saying it's going to be okay. Doesn't care how good you are, just loves you. Just loves you no matter how messed up you are in life. That's where you want to be at. So that's that one voice. This other voice that we walk very far away from is a voice saying, hey man, you ain't doing shit. So we try to get this voice out of our head completely. And we live over here in this land. So what you have to do first is turn up this voice over here. The voice saying things to you that aren't nice. That it's in our head saying, you know what, man, dude, you're not doing shit. You're not and it's not putting yourself down. People take this the wrong way in this new society. I'm not saying to put yourself down. I'm saying listen to the truth. And the truth isn't in the 20%. The truth is in this other part of your brain saying, look, man, you're wasting a bunch of percentage here. We have 80 more percent that we're not tapping into because in this other 80% is suffering, pain, failure, self-doubt, darkness, and then a whole bunch of light. But to get to this light, you got to go through all of this shit. So a lot of us know that. We know. We
do know deep down.
Yeah, I can get over here, but over here, man, this is much better because I got to go through this journey that is not fun. This from 20 to 100%, this shit in between is not fun. So we decide to live over here. So everybody goes, how do you do that? You know exactly how to do that. You know exactly, it's not a magic trick. There's nothing I talk about in that book that's a magic trick. It's all back down to a very primitive mindset of we just have to do. It's like breathing. Breathing becomes normal. Like we don't even know that we're doing it. That's how you have to live your life. When that alarm clock goes off at 4 or 5 in the morning, your mind says no. You just say, it's just what we do. It's what we do now. Because to get to where you want to go, the amount of pain involved, I'm not saying physical, I'm not saying you got to break yourself off. The amount of mental pain of how many times you're going to have to do something that you don't want to do to get to where you want to go is going to be, there's going to be more times you do something that you don't want to do than you are going to want to do it. And that's your new norm. That's your new norm. So then it's like breathing. And then once you do this over and over and over again, it becomes like breathing. I don't want to live this lifestyle, but to get to the other side of this, I have to. So if you really want it, you realize what trying is and what trying is not. So.
And is that all about just discomfort? The discomfort zone that you talk about, callousing the brain. Mm-hmm. Is it about anything that makes you uncomfortable, or are some things more effective than others?
Anything, basically. It's about doing those things that you don't want to do. And once again, I have to say it very loud and clear. I'm not about being a masochist. But what I found when I was 297 pounds, so I'm not a guy that read a book and said, oh, they're the answers. The book, whoever buys this book, or even if you don't, I could care less. All this came from here. It came from me putting myself on the hot seat and then saying, okay, wow, okay, 297, this is where my mind was at. To get to 187, this is where my mind went to go through 3 hell weeks, to run 205 miles, to do 4,030 pull-ups. And I'm a natural born fat guy. Even though I was born 175, I gained 125 pounds. I was lazy. That's who I am. I'm a guy that likes to sit back, watch TV, and eat pizza.
Like everybody.
Like everybody. Like everybody. So I want to tell you right now.
That's the mama voice.
That's the mama voice.
Here, put your feet up. I'm giving you some cookies
That's
and
right.
milk. Take it easy, right?
That's right. And for a guy that never had that, like me, I love my mom, but she was working. All I crave is that mama voice. Please love David. Love David. That voice got me to 297 pounds. Matter
She
of
used to cook for you,
She used
too.
to cook for me. Matter of fact, in the book I talk about
Yeah.
it. When I got out of the military and I started gaining this weight a lot, my standard breakfast was 8 cinnamon rolls, like basically, I think 6 to 8 scrambled eggs, half a pound of bacon, Fruity Pebbles, Lucky Charms, whatever it may be. That was my standard breakfast. So
That was your way of getting away from the pain in
That's
your
right.
brain. That was your vice.
that was my vice.
Now, for some people, it's alcohol or drugs or
That's
sex
right.
or shopping. For you, it was food.
It was food and also being comfortable. Whatever I wanted, I did. And that's where I started seeing myself get further and further away from my true self. And your true self is found, honestly, in that very uncomfortable zone. So,
But you couldn't take it anymore. You had an epiphany where you
Right.
just said, I don't want to be this guy anymore. Do you ever think that if it hadn't have been that morning and that Navy SEAL thing hadn't have been on the Discovery Channel when you got home from work, that might have not flipped the switch and you'd be out there 350-pound David Goggins right now?
The thing about it was, it wasn't like it was an epiphany. I had this haunting voice in the back of my head. A lot of us have it.
Yeah.
We just ignore it. And it was there for years. So I knew in the back of my mind that I could pull off this whatever. Whatever I wanted, I knew I could.
You knew you could.
I knew that, but I was afraid of the work because I wasn't gifted with brains. I wasn't gifted with God-given talent as far as like athleticism. So I knew to get to where I had to go, to be on the same playing field as these men, to even try out for this program, I knew the work was going to be something that I didn't want to even attack. So I was just putting it off
But yet you did it.
because it haunted me.
Okay.
The voice in my head said, you know what, man, you're going to die never even trying to reach your full potential. And how's that going to feel? So I'm gonna live even while I'm dead. I'm gonna be, because I believe in a higher power, whatever it may be. I don't know what it is. I believe that your mind lives forever. Some spirit, something lives forever. I'm gonna be haunted by the mere fact that I literally that's what I was.
You wasted that life.
That's what I was, man.
And you look back and here lies David Goggins, a punk.
That's it.
Right.
And I get to live. So whatever heaven or hell is, you're in hell the rest of your life. The rest of your life. And if there is a God, which I hope to God there is, knowing what I put myself through now, whatever memories I have, if there's any at all, I'll be a happy man. But I knew that I was going to pay for this while I was living or while I was dead. I was going to pay for this. Because basically, to me, it was a huge sin. I'm basically just going to sit here and just be a comfortable man and
That
not
is a
even
sin.
try.
Wasting your life is a sin,
It's
right?
a sin.
It is.
I'm not even going to try.
You said that the one thing that always bothered you was when you died someday, if you meet your maker, that he would pull out a list and say, no, 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 no. You were supposed to be this badass motherfucker.
Right.
And instead, you turned into this cockroach slinging,
Right.
Fruity Pebble eating motherfucker.
Yeah, so,
and like you said, you almost have to live with that for eternity somehow.
Right. So how I talk about it is basically, I visualize a lot. And so I visualize.
You always have?
Always have. Well,
Okay.
always have, but a lot of it was very disgusting.
Okay.
It was like,
Visualize
woe
bad
is
stuff.
me.
Oh, okay.
Woe is me.
Which is worse.
Yes.
Just as bad.
Yes.
Just
And-
as powerful.
But I developed a reality that wasn't real. That's the thing we always do. We can have a great life, but we always build this reality around the one thing we don't have. So therefore, our great life, we don't even see it. We see the one piece of clothing we weren't able to get versus the amazing things we have. So we focus on that. I was the king of focusing on the one bad thing in my life. The one bad person called me nigger. Everything bad, I focused on that. But over here was a beautiful reality of my life. Even though I came from nothing, where I could have taken my mind for the possibilities of where I can go if I work harder. That was all over here, but I lived in the filth over here. So basically, what I started doing was, when I was 297, I thought about, my God, man, like this could be my life. And I thought, okay, what does heaven look like? I don't know. No one does, I imagine. So I was like, okay, I imagine that there's a big long line and you got judgment and you're God. Let's say you're God and I'm just David Goggins. Big long line and you're talking to Jane Doe. Jane Doe goes by and behind you is a big whiteboard. And the whiteboard has like just a piece of paper and you pull it down. The next person in line is David Goggins. And on this board, it has all this stuff on it, but I can't see because I'm too far back in line. So I come up, I sit down now, you're talking to me. David, congratulations, you made it to heaven, how you feel? And right now I'm a 300-pound man. Ecolab guy, I'm 71 years old. This is what I'm thinking at 24 years old, okay? I'm dead, I'm in heaven, you're God. You pull the paper down, it says David Goggins. I'm reading it. And I'm looking at it, and it has my name, but on this paper, it says everything about you. Everything, because God knows all. And I'm looking at it, and I'm seeing 185 pounds, Navy SEAL, changed people's lives, all these amazing things. Public speaker, blah, 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 motivational, all the best-selling book. I look at God, I said, God, the name is right, but what's on here is not me. He goes, it should have been you. This was the life that you were supposed to live, but you didn't try. So this is the life that you have. So what I think to myself is, are you in heaven? Am I talking to God or am I talking to the devil? Because I'm in hell now to see that was supposed to be my life, but because I didn't try hard enough, because I didn't put forth every single bit of an ounce of pressure in my body into being better, they ended up being a 300-pound guy that made $1,000 a month, and I was fine there. That was okay. So that's how my mind works. It works that way to see, where is this going to take me? What's the possibility? So
we're all in a battle with our own brains. That's
all
life.
of us.
That's all life is.
It's the most powerful thing in the world, is your own brain. It can work for you or against you.
And when did you start to realize that the visualization could work for you? And as opposed to focusing on all those bad things that happened to you, all the things you didn't have, the people that called you names, all the stuff in Brazil, Indiana, and you started thinking, wait a second, I just visualized this, and now I can take it to the next level, because the visualization got you through the SEAL training, I think.
It did. And I was able to visualize the end. So when I was 297, and I was all fat and out of shape, and I couldn't run a quarter mile, and I was drinking milkshakes and eating boxes of donuts, I visualized, man, how would it feel? So after I watched that show on Discovery Channel, for a brief moment, there was 22 guys that graduated. I watched this segment on TV about these guys going through Navy SEAL training. And I couldn't even, I wasn't a great swimmer. I was afraid of the water, all this crap, man. And I saw these guys just quitting. But at the very end, it says 22 guys. This commanding officer's up there and he gives this great speech. I was like, man, I wonder. So I started visualizing me being the 23rd guy in these dress whites, sitting there with these guys, getting that Navy SEAL, graduating this Navy SEAL training. I was like, God. So I put myself there. I was like, man, that's an amazing feeling. I put myself there at 297, not even able to do anything that these great men were doing. I said, man, if I could feel that, that would change my life. If I could just feel that. It lasts for 1 second. You get that certificate, you walk across the stage, and what's next? But I didn't know that then. My mind wasn't, I thought I'd live in that moment forever. So I said, wow, man, if I could just feel like them. If I could feel like them.
And what was that feeling you wanted so bad? Respect, accomplishment?
No, victory. I wanted to win. Not like beat somebody else. It wasn't about that. I just wanted to go the distance. Everything in my life, when something got hard, I quit. If it was reading, that's where, I wasn't great at reading. I wasn't great at writing, so I just quit. I couldn't catch on as fast as you. I had to work harder than you, so I quit. I wasn't great at things, so I quit. I'm not good at this. Like, man, if I could just go that distance, that extra mile, to just go, just to finish, I want to finish. I want to feel victory. And victory for me wasn't winning, it was just finishing. So I said, you know what? If I could feel like these guys feel, it would change my life. But what I realized, the best feeling I had was when I was by myself trying to lose this weight. I had to lose it in literally less than 3 months. 106 pounds in less than 3 months. And literally, I started feeling victory just by putting myself in the battle. It wasn't about going to Navy SEAL training. It wasn't about being the 23rd guy in that chair. I started realizing, man, just by going to war with myself every day and putting these challenges and these goals and these obstacles, these insurmountable obstacles. So it wasn't about losing 106 pounds. Me losing 5 pounds was an accomplishment. Right. Me losing 10 pounds and then 50 pounds. And then the more I did this, the more I gained confidence. And then the more I gained confidence, the more I realized, fuck these Navy SEALs, man. These guys can't do what I'm doing right now. I had no coach, had no trainer, had no money. I didn't know how to lose weight. I had no knowledge of what I was doing. I was just working. I was just sacrificing. And then through that, all these different tools started coming up. But I would have never found these tools if I didn't put myself in a very uncomfortable place. We all look for toughness. We all want it, but we look for it in a comfortable environment. You will not find toughness in a comfortable environment. Those of you who are listening to this, whoever hear this, you will not find it. I was trying to look for it everywhere. The only way you find it is to drown yourself in a position where you're just out of sorts, where you can't swim and you're drowning. Where you're drowning. You're drowning in life. But you say, you know what, man? Fuck that. I'm gonna figure out how to fucking backstroke or fucking something. I'm gonna figure out how to, and then through figuring out all these tools, your mind starts to, when you quit, your mind does this. Because you're out. Once you say, I'm not gonna quit, this is the 40%. When you quit, your mind says, we're done. So it doesn't expand. There's no expansion when you quit. When you say, fuck you, this sucks, I'm drowning, I'm miserable, I'm suffering, I'm broken, but I'm not going anywhere. What happens to your mind is it does this. It says, fuck, he's not leaving. So we gotta expand. We gotta grow. We gotta figure this fucking thing out. So then these compartments in your brain start to they have to work. They have to work. And then you start to engage parts of your mind that you never engaged before. But you can't engage it by sitting back in these nice chairs, drinking this nice water, talking to you, talking about what I want to do. That's where the 40% thing comes in. It comes in when you're in suffer mode and you say, I'm not going to quit. You're forcing your brain now to operate on a level it's not used to, but then it becomes used to it.
Because it's telling you the whole time not to go there. Mm-hmm. It's structuring an entire narrative about your whole future life to make sure you never go there.
That's right.
But when you force it physically, it has to expand and adapt for pure survival reasons.
It has to. And your brain is the most powerful weapon. I talk about that in one of these chapters. Your brain is the most powerful weapon in the world. Once you put away your phones and your computers and all that shit we have nowadays, yeah, it's great. We're up to date. But your brain is the only thing you have when you're going through depression, when you're going through hard times, when you're going through death, real life shit. You can't Google that shit, man. You're alone. You're alone. You may have a shrink you're going to, you may have a best friend you're going to, but there's 24 hours in the day where you're alone in this brain. And your brain is talking to you in all kinds of ways. And it wants to control you and pull you in these different pockets. If you can't control your own brain and your brain controls you, you're fucked. You got to tell your brain where you want to go and how you want to go and how you want to get there. You got to control it. If not, it's over. It's over.
And all of that you learned from your own brain. You didn't Google this shit.
No.
You didn't buy books.
It didn't exist. This shit didn't exist. I couldn't even fucking spell Google back then. This shit didn't exist, man. what existed for me was, okay, man, how am I gonna fucking make this work? And all I knew back then was hard work. The only way anything gets accomplished. That's all I heard back in those days. You gotta work hard. You gotta work hard. I'm not getting I can't get this paragraph. I can't remember what the fuck's in this paragraph to pass this test to get in the military. Read it again. Still not getting it. Read it again. But if you're not getting it, write it out. And that's how I started learning. Okay, well, I gotta write out every fucking thing I do. And then write it out again, and write it out again. And guess what happened? I got it. I got it. I can't swim. I'm negative buoyant. Go back again. I can't swim. Go back again. Go back again. Go back again. I got it. I realized if I keep going back and going back and going back until the shit just becomes, your mind will say, fuck, okay, we're gonna figure it out.
It'll find a way.
Because he is not going to stop. It's not like I'm gonna try one more time. No, it's just like alarm clock goes off, boop, we're going back. I can't read right, we're going back. I gave myself no way out, and my mind realized that. They said, okay, we're gonna adapt and overcome now.
So you have to teach your mind this is the new normal,
This
and
is
you
the
better
new
get
norm.
with the fucking program.
That's right.
And as soon as it realizes that you're serious, then it adapts.
I'm not playing a game.
Right. But if it thinks you're playing a game, it knows and
knows.
it won't adapt.
It like a lot of people say, like when I say trying hard, your mind knows, man. It knows this guy's bullshitting me, man. This guy's lying. There's no truth behind it. When I was in Navy SEAL training, people go, how were you there for 18 months? The program was only 6 months long. You were in 3 hell weeks in 1 year. No one's ever done that. How did you do that? I talk about the new norm. When I lived in a $7 a month place when I was growing up for a short period of time, I loved it. I didn't know any different. That was my norm. Once we moved out of that place, we moved to a $236 a month place. I was like, shit, I never want to go back to that little piece of shit. But if you go back to that $7 a month place and you realize this is where I live, this is all I got. Your mind says, roger that, this is home. So when I was going through Navy SEAL training for 18 months and going back through all the hard parts over and over again, I told myself after the first time, I knew it was gonna be a long journey there. My body was breaking down. It was just how it was going on. I said, you know what, this is my new norm. So my mind said, it's like going to work. Like you go to work, you put your suit and tie on, I go into suffering every day. Every day, suffering, being broken, duct taping my feet up, stress fractures, shin splints, being broken. This is my new norm. And your mind says, if we're not broken, this ain't normal. We gotta be broken. So then your mind starts to get tougher and tougher and more callous. People go, how did you run on broken feet? Broken shins. My mind knew this is how we operate. We're in Navy SEAL training. This is what we are. I became hell. And that became my new norm. I gave myself no way out. There was nothing outside these walls of hell. Nothing. I loved God, but for a short period of time, I became the devil because that was hell. I became the boss, the owner, the CEO of Navy SEAL training. That was my mindset. And that's how you get through things. You immerse yourself in wherever it is, and you become that. You become that and give yourself no way out.
What's that like in the moment? Is it hell, or do you get some kind of a weird neutral point where you're just in the moment being this guy, breathing and feeling the pain? What is that like?
The scariest thing in the world about that, and I have to always tell you this, man, because people hear my story and think this guy is sadistic. I realize how the brain works. I figured out how the brain works. I'm a scared kid, and that's what gives me so much power. I had no foundation, and I built this off of just researching the mind. The feeling you get is basically invincibility. You realize that you can't do it all the time. When you need to do it, I know I can go to a place that I can live in. And when you know that you can run on broken legs and you can do certain things that a lot of people can do, but they're not willing to do, this power, this sympathetic nervous system of fight or flight, and you're fighting. It gives you this charge of energy of when you're sitting there at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and you're duct taping your feet up because they're broken, and you're doing it by yourself, and you're going through arguably one of the hardest training in the world. And these guys, most of them are healthy, and you're going through it broken, and you're already at a disadvantage, but you're still there. You can feed into that and tap into that for a lot of power. But if you look at it, well, I'm broken, man. Like, I'm not gonna make it. But if you look at it as, man, I'm broken and I'm still here. And I'm fighting, and I'm gonna find a way to get through this because I have no other place to go. It gives you a lot of power.
And it's not rage. You were pretty clear at saying you can't get through that with anger.
No.
Anger won't get you very far.
I thought it would, but what happens is, not just in SEAL training, but in life in general, when things start to suck really, really bad, my brain and a lot of people's brain, they don't go to the people that called you nigger or your dad beating you up. Your brain says, we gotta get the fuck out of here. This is miserable. So anger goes away a lot of times when you're suffering because your brain just says, we gotta run, right. We gotta go. So that anger is not popping up saying, oh, I'm gonna show them. I'm gonna show those people. No, there has to be a much deeper, and when I say deeper, it has to be down to mineral soil. It has to be down to that nice mineral soil where nothing can burn. You can't burn dirt. So it has to be down that low that literally is something in you that's at the core of your soul. But you don't find it unless you spend a lot of time with what you want to be in life. I can't give that to you.
Right.
You can't give it to somebody. When you find your true passion in life, and my passion for me when like, oh, I want to be, I don't give a fuck about Navy SEALs, Army, I don't give a shit. I want to serve my country. I want to be someone that I'm proud of.
You're proud of. That's all that matters for you.
I'm proud of.
Nobody else matters,
No,
right?
give a shit. I don't give a shit. That I want to look at myself in the mirror because I was so disappointed. That accountability mirror I talk about, I was so disappointed in what I saw every fucking day. I wanted everybody to love David Goggins. And a lot of people did. I didn't love myself. But I knew a lot of us want to find peace first. So people say, man, you always talk about this suffering and pain and shit. I'm at peace right now because I went through that.
Right.
You don't find peace first. If you do, Merry Christmas. More power to you. More power to you. I found peace on the opposite end of finding myself. And no one really finds themselves without going through trials, tribulations, suffering, accountability. And accountability is suffering. Being accountable every fucking day for doing right for yourself, for the people next to you, it's miserable. It's hard.
That is suffering in
miserable.
disguise, right? Suffering.
It's miserable. So, even the smallest details. So that's where it comes.
Once you start finding that you're excelling and you're visualizing this future and you're having this success, you use this phrase called uncommon amongst uncommon, to where you're like, as you said earlier, fuck these Navy SEALs. They're not these robots, these supermen I thought they were.
Right.
Maybe I can be better. Maybe I can do more. Tell me about that, because that's a transition.
It is a transition. So when you come from where I came from, there's a lot of power. So the power comes from when you think that, my God, everybody's above you. And then you put, for instance, I talk about the Navy SEALs in my book. I put every Navy SEAL on a pedestal.
It's easy to do.
It's easy to do. You read the books about them, you see movies about them, superhuman. But what happens is, once you drop your own limitations, so one thing we do bad in life is we put all these people above you. Never put anybody above you, man. Make it an even playing field. But you can't make it an even playing field if you're not working your fucking ass off. I'm not saying not to respect people. You gotta respect people. But if you're playing tennis, right now there's tennis going on here in Queens. If you're playing tennis and you're playing Roger Federer, even Roger Federer's not here right now, but let's say you're playing Roger, best ever, arguably best ever. But I'm fucking good at tennis. But Roger's the best ever. That's in my fucking head. And we're playing a 5-set match, Grand Slam. Before Roger serves the ball, the first serve of the game, first serve, set 1, game 1, first serve. In your mind, you're thinking, man, that's the best fucking person in the world to serve. This is how I thought about Navy SEALs. So what happens is, 2 sets fly by. Roger fucking smokes you 6-0, 6-0, or 6-0, 6-1. You're like, wow, man, I can play with this motherfucker. But by the time you realize you can play with Roger Federer,
It's too late.
it's too late.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.